Good morning. It's evening here in Hong Kong. Good morning, Mr. Borie.
Hello. It's
Hello. Bonjour.
very
Hello.
nice seeing you, Bernice.
Nice
Hello.
to see you again. Hello.
It's wonderful to see you here, and a real pleasure and honor for Tracy and myself to welcome you here at Bbq.
大家我想介紹先嚇，右手邊咧其實係 Mr. Borie 啦，佢係 Bbq 嘅酒莊莊主啦。隔離咧我哋就好開心，係我哋個榮幸咧就有 Tracy Dobbin， 佢係MW 嚟嘅，咁佢喺加拿大嚟嘅，所以都好有親切感。咁咧佢係專登咧其實係幫住 Bbq 去研究酒。
We are trying to
可以。
We are starting to decant the 2010.
Okay.
Oh no, the 86. Sorry. In fact, Bernice, we have today 2 tiger vintages. It's a tiger years. We have picked for you 2 tiger years because next year is a tiger in China, right?
老虎，大家2年都係老虎年啦。OK， 第一。我唔知大家知唔知啦，我哋咧就有2010啦，同埋咧仲有個1986年嘅，兩個都係老虎年份嚟嘅。咁首先咧，酒莊莊主 Mr. Borie 咧就覺得我哋應該咧就一齊飲86先。佢而家咧就做緊咩 decant 嘅。咁大家知道咩係叫 decant？ 嗱，開嘅上面咧開咗個蓋咧唔代表係 decant， 攞個 cork 出嚟咧唔代表係 decant。decant 出嚟咧佢意思係真係要擺出嚟呢啲啊 ，OK？ 唔同嘅 shape 又唔代表，即係代表唔同嘅可以放佢出嚟。嗱，86年咧先咧 ，Are we gonna do a cheers first? We must do a cheers first. It's a cheers not only to 2022。大家 cheers 咗先。Cheers， 大家。
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
C'est bien parfumé.
C'est bien. It's well perfumed. It's the 86 was a vintage that is a glorious vintage of the 80 decade. So we hope you enjoy it just as much as we enjoy being with you today.
So do I. And at the same time, you guys can also feed the video. So whoever's watching. So right now, we are also going to your channel first.
Very good. That's last year's harvest. We're picking the grape at the end of September, and we were all costumed because it was our 300 years anniversary. I'm here on the horse, the white horse, and we are enjoying the harvest at Bbq on the 29th of September 2020. And we celebrated our 300 years anniversary because Bbq was founded back on the 30th of May 1720. 1720.
啱啱300週年啊！大家啱啱2020年嘅時候咧，佢哋就喺法國喺個酒莊嗰度咧係真係慶祝咗個生日。咁咧佢哋就做咗呢個特別嘅 video 俾大家睇啦。咁我哋就開心同大家分享喺呢度啦，因為好難得，同埋佢哋揾到一個好特別嘅。啱啱同佢之前做咗一個 talk 嘅時候咧，佢哋真係揾翻5月20號啊結婚嗰個證書啊。What you were sharing with me that you had actually found the actual contract. Is that this one here?
Yes, that's the contract from our wedding where where in fact Bernice, the word only turns around ladies. You are the key, you are the queen and the princesses, and therefore everything happened and started from this wedding where Mary brought as a dot the chateau and the vineyard on the 30th of May 1720. And in fact, Jacques de Bergeron was just an esquire. I guess he was riding horses, but that's all. So only the ladies are important.
嗱，你聽到啊？最有權力係女士啊！大家，因為呢個真係嗰個證書嚟嘅，佢哋啱啱揾得出嚟冇幾耐。When did you actually find this? You're telling me that you actually found this recently, right? Not very long ago. Like this actual like contract, right? You're saying the conversation we had.
Where did you find the contract?
Yeah.
The contract was found in our in the Bordeaux, in the center of Bordeaux, where we have all the archives of the city of Bordeaux. In fact, in France, it's a little difficult to go before the French Revolution. So the French Revolution was 1789, but it's more difficult to go behind because then you need to go to the church, the Catholic Church archives. But we were able to find this contract and to rebuild the whole story. And in fact, probably the estate existed before, because at least we know that they brought it as a dot, but before it certainly exists. And it was called either Beau Caillou or Mon Caillou, which is also very important. Here I have a stone, you have stones here. But this one is very close to my heart because this is Beau Caillou. So Beau Caillou means beautiful stones, and the stones are key for the vineyards and etc. But this one, which is, pouvez le montrer à la caméra, which is a tiger eye, is very important, especially for the year of the tiger. And in fact, I think the best presentation for Du Cru Beau Caillou is just to say we are the eye of the tiger in the St. Julien commune of the Médoc.
真係好難得嗱！你睇到大家嗰個石咧，其實中國人都好熟悉呢一個喎。嗰個石咧就叫做咩先？嗰個眼啊，嗰個係啦，嗰啲石啊，頭先你睇得到嘅，其實好靚嘅。同埋咧，佢係揾得到呢啲喺呢個地啊。其實好多酒莊喺法國咧，個名咧同佢嘅地咧好有關係嘅。咁咧，你都聽到佢咧，而家咧就話300年啦，但係其實應該咧呢個酒莊本身已經喺度嘅，但係因為證書嚟講咧，佢哋真係 trace 到喺300年之前啦。咁咧，我唔知大家知唔知 Du Cru Beau Caillou咧其實係義莊嚟嘅。咁 Mr. Borie 咧其實係3代嚟嘅 ，he's already third generation。And at the same time， 介紹少少，啲 Beau Caillou 個名咧係美麗的Caillou 咧係石嗰個 stone 嗰個意思，咁擺埋一齊咧，所以佢就頭先攞個石俾你，唔係石頭嘅石喎，嗰個係好靚嘅嗰個係寶石 ，OK， 咁嗰個係對於佢同埋佢家族好有意思，佢就喺呢度揾，喺佢個地揾嘅。咁我覺得所有咧，我最中意咧係學呢啲歷史性嘢，同埋好有感覺。當你諗起呢一個酒莊，你試佢嘅酒嘅時候咧，你就會諗翻起啲故事。對於我接觸酒同埋紅酒咧，我就覺得最重要係呢啲故事。當你飲咧，你就會諗翻起呢樣嘢。其實 Mr. Borie, the first time I actually met you in person was in Hong Kong, and I attended a tasting, a certified tasting, and 我就喺香港識佢嘅。我仲有相㗎，我有相證明。We're gonna show a picture. When I met him 7 years ago. Oh my goodness, 7 years ago. And that was the first time.
No, you have not changed.
Change.
You look gorgeous.
And we had a very nice vertical tasting, and I was actually very early on because I only started learning about wines about 10 years ago, so that was already 7. 係啦，都有7年啦，都好多年啦。同埋 after that, I know his daughter because she came the year after. So 大家佢個關係同香港啦。I'm saying your relationship with Hong Kong has many years. 即係俾香港人講嚟睇啦。其實 when did you start coming to Hong Kong and why did you come to Hong Kong? It must have been in the 80s, yeah.
When did you first come to Hong Kong?
I first came to Hong Kong in '81. I was working for a Bordeaux wine merchant. In fact, I wanted, with boys, we always have problem to demonstrate. We need to show our father that we are probably not as bad as he think he is. So we always want to over demonstrate. So when I turned 21, I accepted a job with a Bordeaux wine merchant, and I immediately was in charge of export market in Asia. And I visited Hong Kong in '81, at the end of '81, early '82. And it was, for me, a miracle. On the same trip, I visited Singapore also, and where we had a privilege of having a tender on Singapore Airlines. And then Hong Kong was, for me, a real wonderful experience. So since then, I really cherish Hong Kong and the Chinese culture. I was given a Chinese name, so I can write my Chinese name here.
佢有中文名㗎，
You correct me, Bernice, if I am not good, if my spelling is not good, you tell me.
分分鐘佢中文叻過我啊！大家佢寫佢中文龍寶力啊！哇！佢個中文仲寫叻過我，大家都係咪？力啊係嘛？
It's a good name. It's a good name.
It's better Chinese than me. 佢有解釋㗎。And when they made the Chinese name for you, because I was born and raised in Canada, so the fact that you can write your Chinese name is like one up from me. I'm like minimal Chinese. And who helped you come up with this name? I remember there's meaning for it, right?
Who helped you with the name?
Oh, the name was given. The name was given to me by a charming lady from Guangzhou, and in fact, that is the lady in charge of a joint tech company. So I can pay a tribute to her because she has been a wonderful help and certainly a very good import company. So her name is Fiona, and she is in charge of joint tech, I think, both in Hong Kong and Guangzhou.
Wow.
So we cheers to joint tech. Cheers.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, how about we get Tracy to express a little bit about the wine that we are sharing. We are doing the 86 first, correct? 1986嘅 Bbq， 我唔知大家有冇一齊開啦。我哋而家一齊試1986年嘅。
Comment pas?
Non, c'était
Tracy, you can describe the wine for us. What your professional tasting behind the 86?
Yeah, so 86, probably Tracy can comment while I am trying one of those dishes in front of us.
So, as Bruno mentioned earlier, the 86 is an outstanding vintage here in Bordeaux, and a tiger vintage. So we hope we'll have another tiger vintage ahead of us. What's so impressive is how perfumed it is right now.
Yeah.
It's really expressive. We are at a developed wine, but there's still a lot of freshness. We've got that cigar box, cedar, all those beautiful aromas that we love and cherish here at Bbq. But we still get that black fruit character from the fresh cassis on the palate. Again, we have that vibrancy, the acidity that we love here, that's so exquisite and really keeps the freshness and really extends the length we find in this wine. But the richness of the fruit gives it a long persistence, and the tannins are, they're really
I think it's
silky.
I think it's important to at this point, to mention this very unique quality of Bordeaux, which is to have this freshness always. It's never overpowered. It's not too much alcohol, not etc. It's always harmony, balance, and there is always this freshness because we are at the northern limit. In Europe, we are in Bordeaux, we are the northern limit for Cabernet Sauvignon. Therefore, you don't have over maturation. The Cabernet Sauvignon always bring this unique freshness to Bordeaux and especially to the Médoc, because only the Médoc is really specialized in the Cabernet Sauvignon. Later on, we will taste the 2010, which has even 90% of Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay,
What I love here is the finish just really perfumes the whole palate.
Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of the translation in Chinese. Okay. 嗱，佢講啦，喺波爾多裏邊咧，其實佢比較北邊，所以咧好多人會諗起，即係如果你飲好多唔同嘅酒唔同國家嘅時候咧，其實大家會諗波爾多好厚喎，但係其實呢個酒莊已經算係北邊嘅波爾多裏邊，佢都已經唔係話好重啊，即係佢嗰啲單寧咧就比較溫柔啦 ，elegant 啦，所以你嗰個口味喺個尾咧係長但唔會太強咯，長咧係叫做 finish 啊嘛，個 finish 會比較長啲，但係其實佢有少少甜點地嘅。點解我覺得呢一個比陣間我哋會試一個比較年輕啲嘅啦，2010年呢個唔生嘅咯喎，係咪？咁呢個86年嘅時候咧。Mr. Borie 都話啦，之前咧我哋配啲嘢食啦，你會諗下配乜嘢？嗱，咁年紀嘅年份比較耐啲咧，你就會飲啲喺 winter 嘅時候飲啦，即係冬天啊，係冬天，我啲中文冬天嘅時候咧，你就會飲啲比較嘅。So I'm telling them with the vintage like this, he said it's a winter wine, and with the winter wine like. With the food that you are going to eat now, I'm going to pair food with it as well.
Yeah.
So the food that I'm eating today, I've been very, very honored to have a very cool restaurant called Auntie Ayi. 大家我唔知你又識唔識啊？ Very traditional cooking style because it's in the kitchen, comfort grandmother's food with a very modern twist. So we're going to start with niga. I don't know, I think you might recognize what this looks like. When you come to Hong Kong and you have dim sum, you have the rice roll.
Oh, please.
Yeah, but this one is a very big rice roll, okay? And then this is a very special rice roll because it has mantis, which is lai liu ha. It's a type of shrimp, the mantis shrimp, with crispy garlic inside. So this is an extra big one. That's what it's like there. I'm not going to eat the whole thing. Don't worry. I'm just going to have one.
Wow, super. Wow.
So that's the Chinese crossover with your Dukubuko because of the flavor. Because, like you said, it's very the finish is quite long. It's actually very elegant tannins, right? And in a sense, with the Chinese food, I don't want to be too overpowering, but and you think about. With Mr. Borie saying having older vintages you can drink during the winter, and that's you think about comfort food, and so that's why I have this as one, which is the rice flour, Chinese traditional rice flour for this, and another one which also brings before we start eating, I think you'll love this one. It's kind of heavy because it's an entire sesame. Do you see? It looks like a flying phoenix, like this. So it's a sesame.
We have a difficulty.
You have a
Non, sortez votre masque comme ça.
Yes.
Hein?
Yes.
Ah oui, d'accord.
Okay. What is your dish now?
Okay. Our dish is very interesting because one of my favorite dish in Hong Kong is the fish with onion, spring onion, and soya sauce, which is just steamed. And in fact, normally you always drink white wine with fish, but this one with a little onion spring, ginger, and some Espelette pimento is just perfect, I think, and matching very well the 86.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so perfumed and aromatic, the wine, that with the aromas of the dish. It's a beautiful compliment, and there's this fact that the tannins are so soft is why I think also why it works well with the fish.
I think you can be imaginative, and I know that. And thank you for. And I just look very much forward to visit Hong Kong and come to this wonderful restaurant and taste those beautiful recipes. But I think that for our friends and your community, it's important that they feel comfortable. We can eat many Chinese recipes with Bordeaux red, and I think that the very typical fish steamed with soya sauce, I think in Hong Kong is just the best. So Bernice, next time I am in Hong Kong, we will share one of those fish with red wine.
Promise. And when you're talking about comfort food， 即係咧，其實 Mr. Borie 講，我哋喺香港成日食咩咧？蒸魚，但係蒸魚咧咪有嗰啲洋葱啊、薑葱豉油嗰個蒸魚咧，豉油佢好中意食。咁佢一路咧都係諗緊呢個去配呢一個86年嘅 Bbq。咁呢個係其實我哋個個一家人一齊食咧都會諗起，一定有一個蒸魚噶嘛，係咪？我最中意食咩？大家，when you're talking about comfort food, Mr. Borie and Tracy, I always have this. So these are like, it's supposed to be, I don't know, you guys might have like a crispy pork rinds, the crispy pork skin.
Wow.
What they've done is a vegetarian style. And because it's slightly with
beautiful
salt and vinegar though, and it's vegetarian, and it goes amazing with. And we ate like 3 plates.
Oh, yeah.
The last time I tried your bottle, because I had to try the other bottle first. We went through 3 plates of this with the 86. It's very addicting together. And this is a staple food, like it's like a snacking food that we all eat here, and it's very addicting with the wine. 所以我覺得呢個咧係頭先佢話個個好中意食嘅嘢，同埋大家即係好舒服地，你會喺廚房拿出嚟嗰啲咧，呢啲係真係咁樣嘅，同埋好脆啊，同埋好味咯，好惹味嘅呢啲。And then you go through the wine.
Very good.
Very, very good. 但我睇到佢哋咧有好多嘢食講。And what else do you have there as well? You have a little food.
I'm flying tomorrow.
Just like the chicken.
I want to fly to Hong Kong and have this dinner with you.
Please do.
Cheers.
I'm like one person here. Cheers.
Wow, looks wonderful. Looks wonderful.
佢哋嗰度係食緊咩？我都唔知佢哋好多嘢食。比較嗱呢個咧就真係好啲嘅 black berry 藍莓唔係黑莓啊、藍莓啊，頭先Tracy 講嗰啲咧深色嘅啤梨咧係嗰啲黑莓啊、藍莓啊，呢個味咧都唔會係士多啤梨，唔會係車厘子啦，因為同埋佢好温柔啊，即係。好多人咧會覺得飲波爾多咯，可能嗰個單寧咧好 strong， 但係其實佢已經唔係，佢其實好温柔，所以咧佢話可以配合到大部分啲人咧就以為魚子可以配白酒，但係其實大家應該去攞多啲去試下。I'm just telling them what you said, how people think fish should only do white wine, but in this case, because it's such an elegant red wine, and it has a structure enough, but it won't affect the way the flavor, the palate reaches the fish and the red wine, that it would be fun to try. And also something that Mr. Borie also mentioned before is, 其實最好咧 when they have it, why not have a couple vintages open at the same time？ 其實我哋點解啲人咧開就係開一個飲晒先至開第二個？其實佢都話我哋喺法國咧最中意開咧係開幾個，就同一時間咧你開兩個唔同嘅 vintage 都可以成為一個重㗎嘛。咁你可以睇下佢嗰個比例喺個味道係唔同，喺邊度唔同？可能呢一年份咧，哇！呢個重啲嘅藍本，呢個咧就重啲嘅木，會有唔同。
It's nice to have a few vintages open at the same time.
Yeah.
It's always interesting. It's like now we are pouring the second Tiger year, the 2010, and it's so wonderful to visit the Chinese horoscope with wine. And wine is about traveling, is about meeting people, is about socializing. And I think this is what is so strong between Bordeaux and ourselves and the Chinese community. Because in fact, I think we are the only people on the planet that cherish banquets. We love to eat and talk and drink together. And that's, I think, very unique. Not all the countries in the world share this same passion and this same DNA in terms of enjoying good wine, good food, and wonderful company. So cheers. Thank you very much.
It's the two countries that spend the most time at the table.
Yeah.
覺得酒咧係一個其實唔係淨係飲酒，其實酒係代表好多樣嘢，即係一家人開開心心開 party 啊，同埋咧你會諗起佢嘅時候咧，你會諗起啲 memories 都幾好，同埋好唔知我其實本身我都唔會飲酒嘅之前，我完全覺得因為第一我冇得，我仲喺讀緊書啊嘛，喺加拿大嘅時候，咁但係我嚟到呢度咧，反而你會飲酒係因為聚會啊、慶功啊、婚禮啊、婚姻啊、BB 啊，同埋咧好耐一班朋友未見咧，食飯，因為食飯同埋飲少少紅酒啊、白酒咧，其實係一個交流嚟嘅，咁亦都係可以多好多唔同嘅 conversation。我覺得呢個都係好重要。對於我嚟講咧，喺呢10年咧，我嘅 conversation 多咗好多。平時拍嘢嘅時候，大家都講嘅嘢都唔一樣嘅。一開始飲食，大家都要食飯。咁點解喺呢一個過程唔珍惜身邊嘅人多啲？咧其實有多一個 conversation。你睇到我喺度切緊咩食啊 ？What are you having? What are you? What's the next dish?
J'ai pas entendu.
You need a close-up of what Mr. Borie is eating.
I am preparing now for the 2010. We have prepared a rack of pig, a rack of chu, because we like pig and we think it's a very nice animal.
Yes.
So we think it's very good. And I learned in China that it's very important not only to eat the chu, but also to eat the skin.
So, the skin very good. That's what I was eating. Perfect. Perfect match.
So we can show you.
Wow, 好大啊！
L'autre, vous pouvez le montrer devant la caméra. Voilà.
係啊，佢哋嗰種嘅，即係我哋中國香港 style 會係我哋個 suckling pig 啦，即係我哋乳豬啊，佢哋呢個係燒係嘛
？It's a suckling pig, yes.
佢哋用大啊，佢哋嗰個火咧係。
It's a very for us. It's a very typical of the end of the year of December, January. That's the typical dish. For the end of the year, and of course the pig brings you happiness. We love the pig. They are good animals. They are very nice. They're smiling all the time, and we love them. So again, thank you. Cheers.
佢哋其實同中國人好似啊。其實佢哋話年尾年頭咧，成日都會食豬，因為都係一個慶祝嘅，或即係點樣講啊？一個中文。 喜慶唔係喜慶菜啦，係嘛？唔係淨係個活動。咁佢哋個火爐咧，佢哋擺入去嗰個爐咧，好正嘅，好似成個石爐咁樣嘅。因為我之前去過嗰度咧，佢哋唔係好似我哋咁樣喺度，我哋唔係一個 oven 嚟，佢哋真係一個喺個地下咁樣成個石爐咁樣咧，好正。Now I want to be over there. I don't have the suckling pig today, so I should be going over there.
to be over here.
Yeah.
On my side, for the 2010, because I can take a little bit more spicier foods, as you said, with the younger vintages, right? I have this, which is called a Typhoon Shelter Salt and Pepper Squid. 避風塘
Come on.
鮮魷啊
For younger vintages.
糖素鮮魷避風塘素鮮魷 but it's a vegetarian
Very good. Yeah.
Yes, so that's where this is. It's a vegetarian squid, but typhoon shelter as they call it. So it's
Vegetarian. Yeah, looks beautiful.
yes. So and because of the spiciness, which is perfect with your 2010, it's not just garlic. It's got the spices of it. They call it typhoon shelter, which is a Chinese delicacy of spiciness. So we try that. Yeah. 大家避風塘，但係呢個咧係素嘅避風塘嘅經驗。你諗下佢用咩嚟做
Looks beautiful.
Yeah, and you would never guess what they use to make the vegetarian squid. Take a wild guess.
Vegetarian squid.
Why? Yeah, vegetarian squid. What they use to make it, so that I would think that it goes very good with this. I mean, you will be very surprised. But what would you use, right? I think Tracy.
She wants you to know. Ask you what you think to use for vegetarian squid.
Vegetarian
Squid
dish.
Yeah. Well, what do you use? Like what ingredients?
But in terms of what I think is important for vegetarian is the same as for classical cooking. It's the idea of matching different flavors according to the wine. So for all the vintages, I think we want to have dish that are not too strong and that are probably steamed or little fried. And when you are in younger vintages like 2010, which is full of power, you can have a little more taste and flavor and crusty
and spicy
and spice. So I think that we have a garden. So Jeremy, if you ask me we have a garden here and we are very veggie. In fact, I tell you a private joke here or private story. But we had a chef that came for a while here, and he was wonderful. But it was so much meat, and we have our garden here, so we love our vegetable. So for the New Year's Eve, we made a wish, and we asked him. We said, "Okay, could you just divide by 3 the quantity of meat and multiply by 3 the quantity of vegetable in our menu?" So we are very veggie here, and we just love. So I made a little dish here with our local vegetables from the garden, and I am very much into this. Of course, it's a privilege for us to have our own garden and grow our own vegetable, but it's also part of our DNA. It's important to realize, because of course, when we have the privilege to visit you, we bring suits and ties. But in fact, and look at my hands, we are peasants. In fact, the wine, we give birth in the field, and we are peasants, so we have our garden, and we have our poultries. Well, the pork come from the suckling pig come from from a farm in the neighborhood, but we are very much into the nature. It's wine starts in the vineyard, and it's really key to have your feet in the ground, in the clay, or we don't have so much clay in the meadow, but in the stones. It's important to stay stick to our Holy Land and be peasant. I was raised here. I was born a very, very long time ago, and most of you, and especially Bernice, were not born, far from there. But when I was here, I was raised in a farm, and I think this is a true definition of a chateau. Today, we think, and you might have this impression that a chateau is just like a Louis XIV at Versailles. But in fact, no. A chateau is a big farm where you grow everything, but you are specialized in the wine. But on aside from the vines and the vineyards, you have your own cattle, you have your own poultry, you have your own garden, and you can almost survive alone. And I think this is something probably that was forgotten through the years, but it is very important to realize. Yes, indeed, Bernice, we are peasants.
Yeah. No, we're very educated peasants. I'm also a farmer. I come from Prince Rupert, which is by Alaska. So a very, very fishing, wood, and Alcan town. Now, when we're going back to the vegetarian part, so what do you think this was made out of? I think, Tracy, you will find it very interesting, and maybe you will go and get yourself one of these to try. It's actually made from coconut meat.
From what?
Coconut.
Coconut.
No.
Yes. So the meat, when the meat, the inside
Coconut.
young,
Wow.
yeah, young coconut.
Yeah,
When
there
you-
might be.
The meat of coconut. The noix de coco.
When you-
La viande.
The squid.
Wow.
The squid is coconut meat. So they take it, they boil it so it's actually chewy, like a squid, and then you put it directly into an ice bed, and it makes it like chewy and crunchy, but still not hard. So when with the profile of your其實呢個係中文係咩曲？椰子肉，大家佢係做避風頭鮮有黃。點解咁特別 ？Why do I think it goes well now? Because the coconut is actually also has.
So they boil the coconut meat before frying it. They boil the coconut meat and then they fry it.
Oh, okay.
Is this a classic? Is this a traditional dish?
No.
No, it's innovative.
It's a very innovative and very creative.
Yes.
The
But
dish
like
of
Mr.
squid
Boyd
is
said-
classic. So you've just replaced it with the
correct.
coconut meat. So it's a classic dish. A twist on a classic dish.
Correct.
An innovative and very creative, yes.
Yes. So, but keeping the
Which we love
taste
here at
profile-
the crew. Innovation and creativity.
We
Yeah.
love Bernice.
咩食緊嘢？超
I think it's we are open-minded, and I think probably in the old days people wanted they were always serving me French food when I was visiting Asia, and I always claim, and I said, well, I love Chinese food. I love Chinese people. Why don't you organize me dinners with good Chinese food, and then we'll find which vintage will match. Like I told you, Bernice, once, I think that there is always a possibility to put one bottle that will match one dish, and then a second bottle that will match another dish. But we will always be able to find the right balance for the pleasure of our companions, of our friends, of your community, and I think it's very important. There is no, it's a democracy. We want people to enjoy life, to enjoy their company, and to enjoy their wine and their food. So when I think I love my
Yes.
because I fixed all them this morning for us.
好
But
勁啊！佢
I
好
love
多
my
創意
veg here. They are just the best. And I think they match very well with the 2010. So I love the idea that you created this veggie with coconut. For me, it's the best. It's wonderful.
And again, the
Okay,
freshness in the 2010, we find that thread, that core of supporting exquisite freshness again here that really helps to make these wines so food friendly. You know,
Yes.
it balances beautifully with the spicier. For our dish here, it's we've got more ginger, a little bit richer, a little bit more flavorful, and the richness of the 10 works perfectly.
I have one
佢都有啊，我都有。
expression, if you may. This.
我未食完先。好啲好正，好中意食嘢。佢食晒佢前面嗰啲嘢，佢喺個家庭自己攞啲菜咧，全部由佢自己揀㗎。所以咧，佢又今次做 prepare 呢啲嘢食㗎，因為係。Okay, I'm ready. Can you?
Really? Yep. Very good.
我知道佢會用到呢個喎。
Cheers.
喺度食緊，係。You got me.
I think she wants you to tell you your expression.
And my idea is that I think because we are wine must be a community, and
Yes.
we are friend, and we must stay friend. And as much as I cherish and really truly, especially with my Chinese name, as much as I cherish Chinese culture and tradition, what I love is the idea that a chef, whether a French chef or a Chinese chef, if they work with a sommelier and each of them make one step to the other, then we are the happiest on the planet. It's important that they talk together, that the sommelier and the chef talk, discuss, and then they find the right balance for our own pleasure.
Correct. 即係佢覺得咧
Make one step forward.
品酒師係啦，無論係品酒師、酒莊莊主，無論係調酒師，其實咧廚師啦，其實當佢哋三個唔同嘅角度去溝通嘅時候咧，其實我哋大家會食得飲得開心好多，因為始終味道呢樣嘢咧都係一個過程，冇啱同錯嘅。There's nothing about it being right or wrong， 其實係大家都係一個交流嚟嘅。咁可能呢個中意多啲呢樣，中意多啲呢樣，呢個中意 spicy 啲，呢個中意辣啲。其實咧呢一個飲食界嚟講咧，其實都係一個大家繼續咁樣學。It's something that I think I also agree because like for me, born and raised in Canada, but also part of Escoffier, which is the French culinary community. I've had to learn a lot because my family is also Chinese in the Chinese F&B. But because I go to Bordeaux for the past 12 years, I've learned a lot in the process. But for me, it's just the experience because I bring back, every time I come back from Bordeaux, I think of like, no matter if it's the pictures, the smells, I go to harvest, wake up at 4 a.m. These are the experiences that I try to bring back to people who might not be able to come or go to Bordeaux all the time. And especially when you come here and you can experience both sides of the world. And then when you go back in and try to blend the wine knowledge or the taste and the flavors, that's something that some people cannot do. And so I think facilitating that exchange in conversation is really important. And actually being inside of this COVID, it's actually made this more understandable for other people what we have been doing for so long. I mean, something you've been doing actually for over 30 something years now. Actually, you're used to it, exchanging culture. And I mean, Tracy, you live in Bordeaux now? Tracy, is that you? You live in Bordeaux now? You.
Yes, so
Tracy.
I live in Bordeaux. I've been in Bordeaux for 10 years now, and absolutely learning about the culture and the wine and the food. I mean,
we introduced her to our local specialties because, and she will talk, but it's so funny, Bernice. She is very brave because she has even tried the equivalent of the rice bird that you have in Guangzhou. You know, the rice bird, the little birds that you have in the rice field. We have the same here, which are in the vineyards. And she was brave enough to eat them, which is impossible. But anyway, please.
yes,
No,
so you're absolutely right. I mean, as you said, you've been in wine for 10 years, and it's the learning is never ending. And when you're in, when you come to a place like Bordeaux, whether through the wines or here in person, and hopefully all of you watching will make it here someday, but being here, experiencing the culture, the food, and tasting the wines, it's amazing how much you learn every single day. Yeah.
嗱，and 咁咧，其實咧佢由加拿大咧搬咗去法國咧都10年啦。咁其實加拿大都有法國嘅一部分啦，但係佢都係因為中意飲食啦，同埋中意接觸唔同嘅文化。其實呢個係好重要，我自己都係咁樣樣嘅。咁我唔知啊，Have you been to Hong Kong before?
I've not, unfortunately. I am very enthusiastic to go as soon as we're able. We have projects that keep getting delayed, so we've got some exciting projects in store for you. But as soon as COVID allows us to, we'll be on the move.
We are extremely enthusiastic because we have got this new virus, which they call Omicron or whatever they call it.
Omicron.
Eventually from and nothing to do with our president, but or France. But we have this new virus which we think will clean the entire planet with this COVID. So that will be behind us. But I have one point, Bernice, if you entitle me.
Yes.
I have one point that, in fact, I must say that we should not blame so much on the ant eaters, because I was 20 years ago, when I first visited China, one of the very first dish I was entitled was an ant eater. And I think it's a good animal and it was good to eat also. So in fact, COVID is not so much a problem. And it's probably will be behind us in a couple of months or a year, but at least it's already starting to move in the right direction, I think. So we will be able to visit Hong Kong.
Cheers to that one.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. So I have one more
dish.
dish.
Thank you so much.
No, I have one more dish here.
Yep.
I have this one, which is to go, because of the spicy, you will recognize this meat. I wanted to show you the meat. Char siu, also pork. You know, the barbecue pork. The char siu.
Wow.
That one.
That's so sweet. Yeah, from Tasmania. Yeah, that's great.
That one is
the pork
always.
Very good.
So it's got the
Very
sweet
good.
on it and the cover, and it's got the meat and the. I'm not a vegetarian, right? I like to eat meat as well, but there's a blend of everything. With this one, the char siu is very staple here in Asia. You have it with rice. You have it with this one here is the spicy noodle, and the churn fan. It's a bit cold now, but it's the flat rice noodle, the big flat rice noodle, and you usually have that with like meat or pork. So for me, this was something that Auntie Ayi.
We have our noodles too.
High five. And that, yes. So.
And you know, in Tasmania, they also, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I also have one important question to ask you. Thank you. I know we're over time soon, but
Because everything is about sustainability and moving forward in the vineyards. And a lot of talk about going green, organic, biodynamic. And I know that with Bbq 即係我知道啦，佢哋個酒莊咧，亦都係好注重咧環保啦。尤其是佢有個仔，希望都會係接待落去。I said because you also your son, yeah, sustainability.
Which she wants to know in the vineyard.
and because you have a son, and I'm sure
Of
that
course,
you want environmental for your son in the future to look after the chateau, like the steps that you crew， 即係佢個酒莊係咪都係 part of 呢一個行動向前呢一個綠色世界啊？
I think, Bernice, it's a very good question, and thank you. In fact, it's for me, it's in fact how would I say? It's my specialty. I was proud enough to be introduced at the International Academy of Wine in Switzerland in the month of December, on the 9th of December last year. And I gave them a presentation about this, about sustainability. And it's really something that is, of course, close to my heart, because I am like I said, I am a farmer, I'm a peasant, I have roots, third generation here, but many generations in the fields. And we have this culture of having good care of the nature. But it is even more important, I would say, for the wine people. The wine people have this tradition, because probably like the tea producers, like the rice producers, or the special rices or the special teas, but certain areas produce certain wonderful specialties. And those guys who have the privilege of being on the spot, of course, are not stupid. They want to preserve it. They want to maintain it. They want to have to be able to transmit it to the next generation. So, quite and very honestly, it's really a question that is in our mind. And I think when it comes to vineyards and to the Medoc, we have certainly developed here at Bbq, like in some of our neighbors, we have developed some new strategy that sometimes goes back to old traditions, or sometimes are pure innovation. When it is innovation, I realize that sometimes it even comes from other cultures, other countries. And I pointed out in my presentation to the academia that probably we should consider not only European scientists, American scientists, but of course, Asia. And in Asia, you have two probably cultures that are very close to nature. You have, with the exception of India, that I know less, but you have at least in China and in Japan some very important innovation in terms of green and new or organic agriculture. And I think, but because it is also a question of philosophy. It is important. You know, it's very easy when you are in an office in Manhattan, New York, that, you know, you say, oh, you need to stop that and etc. When people are starving on the other side of the planet, this is not fair. This is not fair. You should always try to think for the global humanity. We should help those countries how can you refuse new plants, electric plants to Pakistan when they are starving and dying in the streets? You know, they need electricity. So we need to bring them electricity, whether it is coal or nuclear, whatever it is, we need to bring them electricity. So the problem, I think, of organic and etc. is global, but every one of us has to make one step into this direction. And I think that for us here at the Cru, it's very important. We have conducted since now 5 years, but more especially 2 years now that we have a new department, research and development department. We have new practices, and of course we have stopped using herbicides and insecticides for many years now, but we are moving forwards. There are even examples like in Latin America, Amazonia, it's a good example because some scientists are saying, but after all, is it really a primitive forest or is it a forest that has been developed by the natives? It's very interesting. By just planting one generation after the next, they have been developing probably a kind of very sustainable agriculture. And this is for us an example. And now in terms of agriculture, viticulture, we have new techniques that are inspired from the entire planet. So I'm sorry I've been a little too long, but it's a real passionate
Very
debate for
passionate.
me.
Correct.
But I think, and I really would love if any of your community members are specialized in this kind of new or ancestral agricultural activities. We will be very willing to enter in contact and exchange. It's really very important to us, and the doors are open.
I agree. Thank you so much. Yes, I agree. Like the younger generation is very much concerned about the sustainability. 其實你都睇到 Mr. Borie 其實係好 passionate 對於呢樣嘢啦，因為其實環保同埋佢自己都有小朋友嚟緊，佢都會 pass 佢嘅酒莊saying, you know, you're very passionate because you do have a son, and you know the future is about the next generation. 所以佢都好公開話，如果你哋大家對於綠色世界好有研究，隨時可以 email 佢哋。I'll put your email also later on in the links as well. We have to end soon, but I also wanted to share 嗰個佢哋其實個中文咧個酒莊係有一個正式嘅名嘅，係都古堡加龍喎。I never knew that is actually Bbq Pork's Chinese official Cantonese name, which is 都古堡加龍. I'll write it down later and add it in there. And there's some names that actually people, even if they speak in Cantonese or in Mandarin, they never really translate. We will say they'll say Bordeaux, which is English, French, and then Borie as in Cantonese. But they never say Medoc or Saint Julien in another language either. They would just say Cantonese, da-da-da-da-da, and Medoc. And then da-da-da-da-da, Saint Julien. But actually, Medoc has a Chinese name, which is 梅多克。咁嗰個地區大家係梅多克，咁你就梅多克。佢嗰個位置咧，即係等於我係順德辣樓富雷 ，OK？ 波爾多嘅梅多克同埋聖祖里安啊，真係啊個名真係聖祖里安。And then 咧，佢個酒莊係都古堡加龍 ，sorry 嚇，都古堡加龍喎。所以大家可以喺 Google search 呢樣嘢，因為我本身都唔知道廣東話咧呢3個咧係有正式嘅名，因為大家都會轉翻英文嘅。Anyways, so that's for the Cantonese audience. I'll put all the information on the site later. I just want to thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your meal. We had a beautiful 86 and a 2010. Thank you so much, Tracy, and thank you, Mr. Borie, for having dinner with me. Cheers. 大家
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Kampai. Shall we say kampai?
好啦，we see you in Hong Kong or in
Cheers.
Bordeaux next. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bernice. It has been a wonderful time. We are ready to welcome you here, and I wish we can pay you a visit very soon, and at least probably I'm sure that our friends enjoy this, or I hope our friends enjoy this little conference. But more importantly, if you have any question, if anybody has any question, we'll be happy to answer and certainly to give you more information on the Médoc, on Du Cru Bocaillou, or whatever. But Bernice, it has been a real honor for me to see you again. And I just hope that we'll see each other again soon, either in Hong Kong or in Bordeaux. And why not? Both in Hong Kong and Bordeaux. Cheers.
Cheers. Nice to meet you, Shizzy.
Thank you so much. Enjoy. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful Tiger year.
You too.
Cheers.